Hello, my friends. It's your brother Zen bringing you a message of love from above. And this reading is going to be for the full moon that's coming up on November 30th. And so you're going to have a opportunity to pick between three different ones, and you can of course pick as many as you want. The first one is going to be for the full moon itself. The second one is for the full moon in Gemini, and then it also happens to be a full moon eclipse as well. So you also have the option for the full moon eclipse card. So you can choose number 1, number 2, or number 3, and we'll go ahead and jump right in. If you chose the first card, which is for the actual full moon itself, then this is your reading here. And these cards are from this little book. It's an oracle deck about Moonology, which is really cool. So what this card says in this little book, of course it says on the bottom, surrender to the divine. But the full moon itself kind of represents life coming to a head. It could be like a turning point, which is like a full moon. You know, the full moon is full, and then the turning point is it starts to become unfull. So that's kind of represented in that. So it can be a change in your life. But with the full moon itself, one of the big kind of pieces of advice it gives is to tune in to your emotions. And actually the attunement, it says for the full moon, is I'm getting the answers I need. Now, of course, it says need. It doesn't say want. So sometimes the answers we get may not be the ones we wanted, but that's where it talks about surrendering to the divine. You know, we can trust that life happens for us and not to us. So we can trust the divine in that whatever's coming into our lives is what is for us, and for our best, highest experience here. And we also, in trusting the divine, we also trust the divine timing of things. So if something's not happening with the speed that we want it to happen, that also can come into play with this card. One of the other things it mentions in the little book is letting go of our past and moving on. So that's kind of the whole cycle of the moon too, you know, that we went from, you know, a dark moon, which is represented by this one, and we go all the way to the full moon and back. We let go of the last cycle of the moon, and because holding on to it's really not possible anyway. It's going to change whether we wanted it to or not. And it talks about answers and conclusions coming whenever we have a full moon. If you look back on when the new moon happened in the sign, like this one happens to be in Gemini, so the new moon that happened in Gemini was back around May 22nd, May 23rd, depending on where you're at in the world. So if you look back at what was going on then, you might see some of those events or challenges coming to a conclusion. Also, if you look back at what kind of questions you were having during that time, then some of the answers to those questions can be coming around the time of a full moon too. Now this one is coming up on November 30th, but usually 2 or 3 days before, 2 or 3 days after, you can have that impacts of the moon coming to you as well. Sometimes if you're really sensitive, you could even have it be impacting you a week before or week after even, to those extents. So those are the messages that come with this specific card here. I'm just going to move that to the side a little bit. And what I thought I would do then is pull, just to start off, a card from this oracle deck. If you can see that there. And so this is the secret language of light. And since this is a full moon, I thought, oh, how fitting. That's all about the light bouncing off of the moon to make it look full to us, standing upon the earth. So we'll start off there and see what messages the Creator has for us. for those that picked the full moon card, what additional message do you have for us, Creator? Okay, that's a little too many there. If we could just have one message, please, and make it clear for us. Okay, so it's not going to be that one there. And this one is Expansion, which is a master number 44. Beautiful card there. So you can see on here, there's a person down here, and it has all this alignment here. It has all this energy centers of the chakras just being flooded with energy. And the message that I'm getting for this before I read in the little book here too, I was just listening to a kind of webinar yesterday, and it talked about grounding and how important it is for us. One of the little kind of meditations or grounding practices they mentioned is just imagine, whether you can be barefoot on the outside if it's not freezing outside or on the inside. You can just imagine just energy going from your root chakra, which is the lowest chakra, going down all the way to the earth's core, and then just wrapping around it like a vine where it just gets grounded in a solid root there. And then you just have energy that comes up and wraps around your feet, your legs, moves up into each of the chakras, just wrapping itself around it and expanding that energy as it goes all the way up, and then shoots all the way up into the cosmos, all the way up into the heavens, connecting with your creator or higher power or goddess or whatever your beliefs in the higher power is for yourself. And just connecting with that, and then the energy coming back down again, going through each of those energy areas back down, and also reaching again the core of the earth. So that just gives this big grounding between the Mother Earth and the earthly energy, and all the way up to the heavenly energies. Just has that aligned. So I felt that is what they wanted me to share with you. That. And we'll see what additional messages are in the little book here. So number 44, Expansion. So travel at your own speed of light. Are you keeping up with your life and all you want to create? Or are you holding yourself back with what ifs or buts? You limit your life through your beliefs. Everything you say and everything you do becomes true for you and is the platform on which you build your life. The playing field of life is unlimited and loving. You are an unlimited, loving, and wondrous part of creation. You are perfect, right here, right now. You are different, and therefore think differently to last week, last year, last decade, and yet you will always be you. What you are observing is your view. It is neither right nor wrong, but a way to become clearer about what you like and don't like, so you can choose what to focus upon. The events and experiences of your life will grow in meaning as your consciousness expands. Learn to focus and dance in time with the energy and speed of your desires, and they will arrive easily and surprising and satisfying ways. Ah, very nice. So I really feel part of the expansion talks here, when we talked about the full moon letting go of the past and moving on, I like how it mentioned that you're different. You think differently than you did to last week, last year, last decade. So coming back to the now and really connecting with this higher power, because there's this, it's like two of us that are here. The real you, which is that powerful, supernatural, eternal spirit being made of unconditional love, living as this human character. And what I love it's talking about is refocusing upon who you really are and getting clear about how you want to live on the earth here. So I think that is really good. And there's more here, but I think that is all that we're going to talk about on here. I do want to mention, it talks about journal work. So it says draw or write about 3 ways you can feel your dreams and desires right now. For example, by being present and feeling joy, or by noticing what is going well in your life. So really kind of coming off of Thanksgiving yesterday, just really getting into what you can be grateful for that is currently in your life, and really getting into connection on what your true dream is for this life. All right. I also want to grab a card from here, which is the Queen of the Moon Oracle deck, since we're talking about a full moon here, and we'll see what additional message might come through here. And one more time. All right, what additional message do you have for us, Creator? Okay, that was quick. All right, and this one is balance. Let me let you look at that too there. So that's number 19. And let me go ahead and move this over here. And before I read in the book here too, what I'm getting from that card when it talks about balance, when we were talking about here about the heavens and, being this character on the earth, one of the things I love about the tree of life, which for some reason I kind of see this as a tree of life, is that if you don't have the roots, like we mentioned in, that balancing, that grounding, if you don't have the roots of the tree going deep into the ground, if the tree gets too tall and too big for branches, there's nothing that's grounding it, so it'll tip. Same thing as if it's all about the roots and not about growing the branches, then it doesn't bear a lot of fruit because all the roots are in the ground. So it's a real important balance between not being too heavenly minded that you're not any earthly good, or all focused on the earth where you're not having that heavenly connection and actually having the fruits. So I really love that. So in the little book, it talks about seek balance. Extremes of anything are rarely healthy or useful. There may be an overreaction that has caused the issue. Ground yourself and allow your strength to rise from there. Be aware of where the imbalances in your life are at present. Working with the lunar cycle on a regular basis helps us actually experience the flow and balance of nature. The moon shows us the gradual and peaceful process of waxing and waning and the phases of perfect balance within. Our bodies, our minds, and our human spirit seek balance, yet perfect balance is almost impossible to achieve. So think on this. If we try to stand on one leg and balance ourselves, no matter how good at balancing on one leg we may be, it is a kind of a dance, is it not? The large and the small muscles in our legs adjust to keep us upright, always moving, never perfectly still. The rest of our body is also performing a myriad of adjustments, a little to the right here in one moment, a little to the center there. The point is that balance is a process, something we can actively seek if we are wise. We need to know when we are unbalanced so we can return to homeostasis. It is useful to know where our imbalances lie and to make a decision about moving towards a more balanced version. Self-reflection helps identify this. When we are too something, working too long, thinking too fast, eating too much, we need to be honest with ourselves so we can identify this quite easily. Allowing ourselves a more considered and balanced view invites a true peacefulness into our lives, something that many people crave in this incredibly busy and chaotic world, right? Balance allows us to understand that overwhelm isn't a place we want to visit, let alone set up a home in. Wow. Perfect, especially for the times that we're in, especially moving through the holiday seasons and all the political, everything that's going on. It's like when we become too much, we're out of balance and we kind of get lost and consumed in it. So really taking a deep breath and coming back to this grounding allows us to be in a place of peace. All right. Next, I'm going to pull a couple cards from this oracle deck I'm working on with the Creator, just to get some additional messages. All right, what additional message do you have for us, Creator? Anything more for those that chose the full moon card? Okay, there we go. Okay, that one doesn't want to go back in, so we will pull that one and we'll see if is there one more that you have for us, or just two. One more pass here and see if anything else makes itself. Nope. All right. So this is talking about, of course, it's a giver of love, which is number 46. And what this represents, it's based on like the 5 languages of love. And when, one of the ways that people want to be shown that they are loved, or ourselves to show we are loved, is kind of like a gift. And in giving of something, it can be, a holiday season, yay, gifts are expected, so sometimes they just don't really give us more love, because you pretty much, when you give a gift when you're expecting one, it just lets you meet the expectation and there's nothing extra. But giving someone something unexpected, whether it's any of the gifts of the love languages, whether it's just giving them a little note telling them that you love them and what you appreciate about them, or doing a gift of service of something, whether it's just going and cleaning their house, helping them, going and doing their laundry, things that you're like, if they're overwhelmed, especially if they're taking care of children and they're running around and, just never have any time for themselves, babysitting for them, letting them have a day out, or even a couple hours away. I know some parents, especially have youngins, just to having a couple hours they can go have coffee and read a book somewhere. They're just like, oh my God, that was amazing. Whatever comes to your heart, whatever you see of what you would like to do for someone, just to show them that they're loved, that will help ground, especially if it's someone that you've been having any altercations with, or, any type of falling away. Just reaching out to them with some sort of way to show them love will go a long, long way. And along those lines, one of the things that we can do when we're in this place of love, when we're grounded and connected to the heavens or the higher, spiritual realms, is that when we lower our fear noise and we get to that grounded place, taking a deep breath, coming to that place of balance, we can hear those whispers of love. We can hear the whispers from the Creator, from the Holy Spirit, from our angels and our guides, our loved ones who have passed, even our ancestors. So what they're really emphasizing here is connecting to this higher place within yourself at this time, because they are there. And if you feel alone and you want to hear from loved ones, I know especially during the holidays is when we can miss those that have passed and gone to the other side. They're telling you, we're here, we're talking to you. Just come to a place of peace and expect to hear from us, and you will. Whether it's going to be in your dreams, whether it's through some sort of sign if it's a feather or a butterfly or a song on the radio or finding pennies, or there's so many ways that they will make themselves known where you won't have a doubt that it's them. So just take heed, they are wanting to speak to you. And even this card coming up in this reading, if you came across this, it's their way of telling you that we're here and we're never not around you. You're never, ever alone. All right, and to finish up here, since around a full moon, oh my God, I dream like crazy for a week before, and even a week after. Sometimes I feel like I don't even stop dreaming. But I'm gonna pull a little message here from this Aboriginal dreaming, and then also one from this Sweet Dreams, just to get a couple more messages here for us. All right. Okay, I'm gonna take this one here. And this one, here you go. I'll bring it up close to you here, and then I'll read it. So that's frustration. So it says, your frustration is not a wasted energy if it is channeled positively to create a better outcome for yourself. Embrace frustration and work with it, not against it. So that is a great message to have about balance too. Like when I mentioned about being, grounded in the earth here as well as being connected to the heavens. Neither one is not wrong. It's that balance between the two. So when there is frustration in your life, it's a great message. When we come to this place and take a deep breath and come to a place of peace, we can get to the root of our frustration, understand what it is. And it's like not resisting it, not trying to bury it, because it's just going to keep coming up over and over and over again until you actually get to the root and understand what is it, what message did I want to learn from this, what did I want to work through and strengthen myself in. So put that right there. And then we'll grab one of these Sweet Dreams here and see what the last message we have from here. All right, and what final message do you have for us? All right, well, looks like you get 3. So you've got vulnerability. I allow myself to be vulnerable and honor my inner grace, wisdom, and beauty. So you've got the vulnerability there, which I really feel kind of coordinates with this one when I mentioned that you might have had an altercation with someone or disagreement, whatever, that it's okay to be vulnerable. I know I used to be the one that always used to reach out and apologize first, or, reach out first, a hand, and I got tired of it after a while, but they're saying this time, even if this is the last time, go ahead and reach out. And then you have peace. I create peace, prosperity, and joy in my life. So very good, perfect. And I really feel like with this one, this balance, this place of taking a breath and balancing this, that is where you're going to find your peace. We can do somersaults out in the storm that's going on around us, but there's always an eye of the storm where it's peaceful and quiet and full of love, and that's where this whole message is kind of bringing us is connect. It's good to get grounded and also connected to the heavens so that you can be drawn into that place of peace. And the last one actually has to do with, like it mentioned, a full moon is about, change coming. because life is coming to a head. It's a turning point in change. This one is change. I embrace change in this new day, and I adapt to what is to come. And I know the only thing that's ever consistent is change, right? And sometimes we don't like it, but everything is temporary. So if you're enjoying where you're at right now, enjoy the moment, enjoy it for what it is, knowing that it's only temporary, like the phases of the moon. And if you don't like where you're at, that's good news that everything is temporary, because things will change. But still, look into what that frustration is with where you're at. If you're in that place where you don't like where you're at, maybe now's the time to get to the root to understand why. Why don't you like where you're at now? What is really at the root, at the very root of it? Right, well, I hope this brought a little bit of joy or peace or love into your moments right now. If you did enjoy the video, if you don't mind giving me a little like down on the bottom, if you don't mind, that does help out my channel. And if you want to, of course, share the video, if this really thinks that this would be encouraging to someone, please do. Everyone can use a little bit of more light in their life. If you want to get notified of any of the future videos that I do, if you click the subscribe button down below, then and click the little bell, then you'll get notified when I update and send in another video, which I'm doing a lot more these days. So I definitely appreciate you taking the time to listen to this. I appreciate you, and I love you. You have a great and wonderful weekend. You take care. Right, if you picked card number 2, which is the full moon in Gemini, which I'll give you a close-up view of that one here, then this is your reading here. And these cards are from this little book. I'm sorry, for this Oracle deck, Moonology Oracle, so I'll give you a little information on what the book says about this full moon in Gemini that is coming up. And basically, for the full moon in Gemini, it's bringing the answers you need. So it tells you that they're coming. The answers are coming. Gemini is a sign of communication, the zodiac sign of communication. So it kind of tells you it's important to speak your truth, but remember, words have consequences. They have impact on the listener. So it mentions in the little book to attune to this full moon in Gemini, have an important conversation, but stay calm. It mentions it's too easy to say too much, so mind how you communicate. So you're gonna have this urge to talk and to speak, to share, but it's important to kind of look at, don't overshare. Be aware of what you're saying, how you're saying it, and to whom you're saying it to. It's also a great time to socialize. Of course, be safe during these times, and you can socialize in a variety of ways besides in person, but it's a great time because your communication and interactions will be blessed as well. Just, again, stay aware of how you're doing it. Also, the full moon in Gemini is a good time for study. So if there's something that you wanted to begin to study or to dig more into, now your mind is going to be kind of emphasized. It's going to be clearer and able to retain more and study more. Geminis are really intellectual. They're really smart. So that Gemini influence during this time, usually like I'm saying, like now, 2 or 3 days before and 2 to 3 days after, just that time is going to be good to have that influence going on. All right. Next, I'm going to pull a card from this oracle deck here. It talks about light here. It's the secret language of light. And because a full moon, of course, is all about the light reflecting on the moon, I thought that would be a cool deck to choose from. So we'll see what additional messages the creator has. for those that picked the full moon in Gemini card. All right, what additional message do you have for us, Creator? Actually, I think this one is sticking out. We're gonna take that one. All right. So let your light shine. Beautiful. So what I feel before I read the card here in the book is that this is telling you that you have so much that you can bring to the world. What I'm hearing, though, is it's how you share it with the world, kind of like it talked about how you communicate here, but it's about what are your intentions. You know, if you're doing it to get validation from the external world, it's never going to be enough and it's going to feel empty. But if you spend time working on your inner work and finding that unconditional love for yourself, you know, this huge heart here, just knowing that you are unconditionally loved by the Mother, Father of all things, the Creator, then when it's not for external validation, but it's actually a expression of that unconditional love that's inside you, you're just going to see it impact so many people. It's going to take away so many shadows. That bright light is just going to fill the people around you and the people you interact with, and you're just going to be amazed at, without even trying, you're going to impact the love others have for themselves. And sometimes it's not even doing anything specific as far as like a career or anything like that. Although for some of you, I really feel that this is a message for you to shine bright and get out there and share your gifts with the world. But for a lot of you also, it's just about being yourself, being that loving person, being that joyful, peaceful presence in people's lives is just going to spark that in other people. They're just going to go, wow, what is it about you? Are you on drugs or what? But it's going to be that you just have this inner joy that and love that you just so willingly share that it just floors them and blows them out of the water. So that's the message that I'm hearing intuitively on that one. Let me see what the book has to say, if there's additional messages here for you. Here it goes. So it talks about being authentic. So be your authentic self. Today, embrace your uniqueness. Say to yourself, I am so pleased and honored to be me. Embrace the parts of you that you may feel are a little strange. They feel this way because you resist experiencing the fullness of you. We can all feel a little odd or peculiar at times, longing to be like everyone else and just fit in. But compromise breeds resentment. Locking yourself into the pretense of what others want will strangle your soul and split you in two. Accept yourself. Set yourself free from judgment and what you perceive others think about you. Let your soul shine outward and inspire others to connect, embrace, and shine their truth. When we are aligned with our soul, we feel loved and satisfied. We no longer need others to lean on to fill our perceived voids or to be different to who they are. Instead, we want to be with others for the pure joy of it. Create a new way toward anything that is of interest to you. Can you feel relief wash over you? You are beautiful. Wow. Wow. So perfect. Just as I was, mentioning, when you connect to that, your inner soul, when you connect to that unconditional love that's inside you, you stop trying to be what you think what everyone else wants you to be, and you start being that unique, loving being that's you. And you start investing in the things that you want for your life, not what you think other people want for your life. And as I mentioned, for here too, it's a good time for study. So if there's something that you're wanting to head in, whether it's astrology or, tarot reading or herbs or crystals or, nutrition, whatever it might be that you think will bring your passion, what brings you joy, it's a time to look into pursuing that. All right. The next card I'm going to pull is from this Queen of the Moon Oracle deck, of course, because we're talking about moons. I thought this was a good deck. I was drawn to it, so we'll see what additional messages that we might have. All right, Creator, what additional message do we have for those that chose the full moon in Gemini? What additional message do we have? There's so much energy in these cards, they all want to jump out. It's crazy. All right, be specific, please. Be obvious and specific. Oh, there we go. And you got growth. And that's number 5. Yeah, and I love that she's got a little watch there, which for me, before I read the little card here from the book, growth is everything I was talking about. It's talking about it's a good time to learn something new. It's a good time to plant those seeds and grow those seeds and be who you want to be. And I just love how this place here, this is rooted and getting grounded. I mentioned in the first reading about how to get grounded and how to connect to the earth. And it's important to have strong roots before you start expanding. So a lot of your life up to this point has been being grounded in the earthly supposed to's and working through all those fears and working through. So you've done a lot of inner work, but those are the roots that have really helped ground you. But now it's time to grow into your higher spiritual knowledge, your higher purpose in this life as well. All right. So from the little book, it says, reject stagnancy to get unstuck. Take action. The choice to grow should be made. Expect growing pains when making huge changes in your life. Change is a natural part of life and cannot be pushed against forever. Change should have aim and purpose. Be courageous. You will blossom. Think of a willow tree. Willows often grow on the sandy banks of highly shiftable and changeable rivers, yet they reach huge sizes, successfully growing and holding fast in an unpredictable habitat. How do they do this? When you see a young willow on the banks, for a long while, it just looks like a feeble stick. It may have a few branches and leaves, but at first the trunk will be fine and flexible, rather than robust. What we don't see immediately is the root base. Go figure. The willow spends a lot of time establishing a veritable root city under the surface. These roots are long and strong and very numerous, finding their way into many nooks and crannies, holding onto rocks, other established tree roots, and anything that can help with their stability. These roots go off in all directions, thus securing their position just in the case the earth begins to shift. Then and only then, once these root networks are established well enough, does the willow put its energy into further growth. The trunk begins to thicken and widen and harden and travel upwards to the sky. However, as they grow, the branches have little of the trunk's supportive thickness. They have instead the instruction that they must be flexible. Flexible means they can turn with the sun and survive punishing winds that might threaten to topple the rest of the tree. All of this growth is done with purpose and a divine strategy. The waxing lunar cycle calls for growth, but not growth without aim or purpose. When we understand our current position, accept it, and decide to change, we will naturally grow as people. We might experience some growing pains. After all, transformation of any kind is rarely completely easy and trouble-free. Having a strong intention of what the results of our growth will be helps with gaining the courage and resilience to move forward with our growth and into the eventual blossoming of our true self. Wow, perfect. Perfect. I don't know if there's any more I need to add to that. We already talked about that there. So what I'll do next, I'm going to pull some cards from this Oracle deck I'm working on with the creator, just to see what additional message or any clarity that we have. All right, what additional messages do we have, Creator, for those that chose the Full Moon and Gemini card? What additional messages do we have? What additional messages do we have? I tell you, there's a lot of energy today. This must be a powerful full moon, because it's like all the cards want to be heard. Spirit really wants to speak through here. Pick it to show me. Okay, there we go. There's one here. Okay. Very good. So the first card that popped up here, it's called In Service of Love. And what I'm really getting from this card, one of the questions that might be coming up when it talks about growth and learning and, you know, understanding and growing into your true self and, you know, being authentic to who you are and letting your light shine. How do I do that? You know, so much of our lives, we feel like we're told on who we are supposed to be, and everyone has an opinion on what career we should be in or what our talents are and all that. But if our joy isn't in it, it's not going to be worth anything. What this card tells us is, how do you want to share that unconditional love that's in you with the world? How do you want to share it? Not how you think you're supposed to or what would be the best way, but how do you want to share it? And it can be so many things. Like, I love doing card readings and having conversations with people about how to convert, you know, all our fear emotions into love. That's my passion. That's what brings me joy. But that isn't for everyone. It could be, you know, cooking desserts for people. You know, it's just that love and that way of giving to other people. It could be helping people with budgets. You know, that might be something that you really enjoy, that other people hate to do. But with you doing that, you not only help them reach the goals they want and do the things they want to do, but it's sharing your love with the world. So there's so many things. Don't count anything out on how you can share your love with the world. Don't downplay it. Don't downsize it. And don't, you know, dilute it by other people's opinions that were like, oh, you can't do that. That's not going to bring you any money. You can't do that for a living. One of the things I listened to a little webinar yesterday about abundance and how to bring it into your life. And one of the biggest things is just to kind of have this affirmation that I can do what I love, share what I love with the world, and get paid for it. And so if we believe we can't, we won't. And if we believe we can, we will. Because what we want, if we want it, we're going to find a way. So be stubborn. You know you are. We all are. If we want something bad enough, we'll make it work and we'll find it. So it's just wanting it bad enough. One of the messages that comes too is, if you do what you always did, you'll get what you always got. So, if you're in a job now or a career that you're just like, but it makes the money and I'm surviving. Well, if you're just surviving, you're not living, you're just existing. And that feeling that you have of dullness, or that you're never going to get on top of things, you're never going to feel fulfilled, is because you're not doing what you love. So think about what it is that you would love to share with the world, and take a step every day toward that. Even if it's just writing down a list, researching something. What would it cost? What would I need to do to be successful? What other people are doing something like that? What can I learn from them? Maybe it's even reaching out to them. Maybe someone's willing to mentor you. Or even if it's in a position of what you'd like to do yourself as an entrepreneur one day, sometimes if you get into that line of service, then you learn from it all. So maybe there's a career change that way too. So there's a lot of information there for you. The other card is Venus, which is how we love. And I love this. Here, let me do that a little better for you there so you can pause and read any of that if you want to look at that at all. I guess it helps if I take my finger off of that so you can see it. So Venus is the planet that rolls over Taurus and Libra. So if you're a Taurus or a Libra, sun sign, rising sign, or moon sign, or it's really anywhere in your chart, this could be just an extra message for you that, yep, this is talking about you. The dates also might have something to do significant with either when you started a job or when you can set a goal to, head into this. So Taurus, of course, is around 420 to 520. Libra is around 923 to 1022. But Venus really tells us how we love. What's our love style? How do we interact with relationships? How do we see beauty? What does beauty mean to us? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So how do I perceive beauty? And what would a beautiful life look like to me? And then finances. Finances can go into how do I earn my income, which again is a message like I pretty much just been talking about for almost this entire reading. So just affirmation on how are you going to love? How are you going to love yourself? How are you going to show love to the world in service of love? All right. Lastly, I'm going to pull cards from these two because, of course, around a full moon, it's always about dreaming. I dream and dream and dream around a full moon. So this is the Aboriginal Dreaming deck, and this is the Sweet Dreams. So I was drawn to those to see what little message we have here. So we'll start off with this here for the Aboriginal Dreaming. What additional message do you have for us, Creator? For those that chose the full moon in Gemini. Okay, and if you could be specific for us, please. All right. So you got the Trust card. So it says, don't trust what you're being told. There is more to this situation. The answers lie within the finer details, which are not being shared with you. So what I'm really seeing for this is kind of a dual message. One, with the full moon, it's also, like you mentioned before, the answers are coming. And so don't trust what you're being told. There's more to the situation. So whatever is causing angst in your life right now, just know that the answers are coming, and not to trust what you're being told right now. And I love what really stood out to me is the answers lie within, is where they kind of wanted me to stop. The answers lie within. Go into your heart. You know, when we look at the external, you know, what we're being told from the external world, it's going to be influenced by fear. Everyone, you know, we're two beings within us. We have the real us, which is that powerful, supernatural, eternal spirit being made of unconditional love. And then we come down and we play these characters and forget who we really are to walk upon the earth and to experience what we're not, to more fully understand who we are. But being these beings that have this fight or flight mode, our love is challenged. You know, every moment is either of unconditional love, connected to our higher self, or the fear of losing conditional love. And when we're fearing losing conditional love, we're going to do everything we can to feel in control, whether that's trying to have power over people, and that's through deceiving people, trying to, you know, make people do things we want by acting sad or by bullying them or by rejecting them. And so there's this manipulation that goes on. So whenever I hear trust, the only thing we can really trust is that inner whisper inside us, that the Creator speaking to us when we're in that quiet place of unconditional love. And when we're in fear, it's too noisy. We can't hear anything. You know, the Creator whispers to us, and fear screams at the top of its lungs. So when we can come to that calm place of love, then we can really hear truth and what's really important. The other message that comes with this is kind of what you talked about. Don't trust what other people are telling you about who you should be or what you should be in as far as a career. Like I talked about, you know, look within and find out what brings you joy, what brings you love. All right. And then the sweet dreams, we'll see what final message we have from the Creator here. All right. You got messages. Messages. And that says, I am receiving powerful messages from my guides right now. I trust my feelings. So trust. Trust, trust, trust. Again, affirmation, you can't make that up. Trust and trust. So trust your inner feelings of love. I would not recommend trusting your inner feelings of fear, because when we're in fight or flight, we don't think clearly. All the blood rushes from our brains, and we're literally out of our minds, which explains a lot of people's actions this year. When people are in fear, they're not acting in their right mind, they're acting out of their minds. So we can forgive and give people that grace, knowing when you're in fear, you can't really act any other way but in fight or flight. When you come back to love, then you can see things more clearly. So I hope this resonated and helped out a little bit in your life right now and brought you some messages of love from above. If you did like this video, if you don't mind giving me a little like down below, that does help out my channel and helps it appear for more people. If you feel this will bring any, you know, little brightness and lightness for anyone's life, you know, please feel free to share the video. And if you want to be informed of any of the future videos I do, just click the subscribe button and the little bell, and you'll get notified when I post my next upcoming videos. Well, I definitely appreciate you taking the time to listen through this, and I wish you all the love and joy and peace that you can handle. You take care now. I love you. All right, welcome to your reading. If you chose the card number 3, which is this full moon eclipse, then this is your reading here. And this card is actually from this Moonology Oracle deck, which is a really cool book. And I'll talk a little bit about what this book talks about, what the full moon eclipse is about. And as you probably read on the bottom there, its conclusions are within reach. So it talks about a door slammed shut. And it's possible a situation that you're asking about for this reading or that's on your mind. It's about to reach a peak, or it has just done so. So it basically says things are now out of your hands. What you're experiencing now is what your soul signed up for. So it's a way for you to learn and evolve your soul. And what it mentions when it talks about things are out of, our hands with this type of full moon eclipse, because they're out of our hands, rather than trying to struggle, you can allow the events to unfold and be easier on yourself. Because when you're struggling, it's like swimming upstream. It takes a lot of work to try to swim upstream, and all you really get is a big mouthful of water. So that can be letting go of someone or something. And of course, that might be hard, but just know that now is the right time. It also mentions that forgiving someone could be key to resolving the situation in a positive way. Now, that doesn't mean you have to agree with what they did or agree with what situation happened, but it releases you so you can move on. If, like that picture of it going down a stream, if something, you've held on to this branch that's sticking out, and the water's just, hitting you and hitting you and hitting you, and things floating in the river are hitting you, and if you just let go and go with the flow, then it's actually better for you than if you didn't. It does talk about in the little book about how to attune to like this moon and the lunar eclipse. And it's pretty encouraging because it tells us that which is meant for me will not pass me by. I know sometimes we're afraid to let go of something because we're afraid, well, if I let that go, then it'll never, come back to me. But it's wonderful. Like they always say, if something is meant for you, let it go and it'll return to you. And if it doesn't return to you, then thank God for unanswered prayers, because the Creator of all things has a much better view of everything that we're going through and what's for our highest and best good than we do. So we can trust the Creator, the universe, the Goddess, the Holy Spirit, whatever you feel is your highest power. Just know that you can trust that life is happening for you, not to you. All right. Next, I'm going to pull a card from this oracle deck here, because this, of course, is the secret language of light, which a full moon is all about, the light bouncing off of the moon. So how fitting. Let's see what additional message the Creator has for those. It shows the full moon eclipse card. What additional message do you have for us, Creator? Whoop. All right. You got the soul mating. Uh-oh. It's a beautiful card here. Before I read from the little book, what they're bringing to me to communicate here is that, and I actually have a card in a deck that I'm working on with the Oracle deck. It's called Soul Meet. And what it's about is the discovery and the revelation that we sometimes will pursue and choose people to be in our lives, either as friends or as partners that hold things that we want for ourselves, but rather than developing them within ourselves, we try to possess it through others. We try to almost kind of steal it from them in a way. And so that's what soulmate is trying to consume the other person in a way to have that characteristic or that strength within ourselves, that thing we think we lack. But one of the wonderful things that has been coming up for me, oh my gosh, just for like almost a month, and it's based on the tarot card called the Lovers, which is the Divine Mother and the Divine Father. And what is amazing, the message that they're bringing through with this is the soulmate that you're looking for is actually within you, and that you are the one that you've been looking for your entire life. You can fall in love with yourself. You can stop cheating on yourself with other people and be that best friend that you've always wanted. Be that father, be that mother, be that child, be that lover to yourself. Because if you don't have that unconditional love inside of you for you, then no one can give that to you. And you can't give that love to anyone else until you have it for yourself. And I'm going to read what the little book has here, see what additional messages we have. And it says, embrace your soul to reveal a partner. So a new encounter or a deepening of an already existing union will profoundly change the way you perceive unconditional love. Chemistry between two people does not mean they are life partners. You have entered each other's life to awaken, expand, and open your hearts so wide that they may never close again. It may last for a moment, a season, or a lifetime. Time is not necessary to shift the cogs of your heart and feel the absolute ecstasy of you. A moment can open you to euphoria. The purpose of a soul relationship is to mirror your love and light and melt away any hard edges or walls you have built. Whatever is mirrored will intensify. Love and peace will feel bigger, but so will fear or pain. This reveals any wounds that hold us away from love, so we can heal them as we embrace more of the love we already recognize. Wow. The mirror thing is so perfect too, because I think it's A Course in Miracles is where I read it, and it talked about relationships with people are what teach us patience and unconditional love. And it's so perfect because people do mirror back to us how we feel about ourselves. I love Byron Katie. She has mentioned that, all these people that come into my life have always shown me what I want to see about myself until I see it. I used to ask myself, why do I keep getting in relationships with the same kind of people? Well, because I hadn't realized the message that they were trying to tell me. So they were always telling me how I felt about myself until I saw it. And then, lo and behold, I stopped attracting those type of people into my life. So it's amazing how that works. All right, next I'm going to pull a card from this Queen of the Moon Oracle deck, because we're talking all about the moon. So let's see what additional messages we have. All right. What additional messages do we have for those that chose the full moon eclipse? All right, so let's go do that one there. You got assessing. Very cool. I love this card. Before I read from the little book, kind of what I was talking about trusting that what is happening in our life, this 360 view that the Creator has, and for the assessing, when we rise above and see it from our higher self, we get to see things more clearly. We get to make clear assessments, not out of fear, but out of love. And let's see the little book here. So it's time to assess your current position. You must make sure your blind spots are revealed and that you are honest with others and yourself. Sometimes the hard decision is the best decision. You should be able to assess and move quickly based on that assessment. You have begun your journey, and now it is time to assess where you are and what to do next. You've made a decision. You have worked and walked the path for some time, and yet you understand that in every journey, it's a wise action to check the map. Sometimes we go along a pathway, and we keep going, even if it seems like that way is no longer the right way for us. Sometimes we feel we have gone too far to turn around, and so we settle on a journey and destination that doesn't really suit us or satisfy us. However, if we had just had some courage, we could have reassessed as we went and perhaps ended up somewhere else, somewhere better. Now is the time to look carefully at all aspects of your life, especially the areas in which you have set some intentions or goals. Ask yourself, do I still want these things? Do I still want the same end result? If the answer is no, ask yourself what you can do to maintain momentum and head towards what you now desire. Although it doesn't seem terribly glamorous, assessment has a high payoff for us if we bother to do it well. Doing it well means we really look hard at how things are going. All of us have some kind of blind spot, so it's worth exposing this by consulting a trusted friend or finding where negative repeating patterns are, and look for the cause. Shining a light on a blind spot and taking action to shift is one of life's biggest catalysts for change. And how perfect is that? I mean, that really goes into what I was talking about before about the full moon eclipse, to where a door slams shut, things are out of our hands. What we're experiencing now is what our soul signed up for, to help us evolve. And so letting go of someone or something might be hard, but now is the right time. So like I talked about here too, for this card, now is the time to reassess and to understand and take a real hard look at it. Like I did with relationships. After so much time, I took a deep, big, hard look at why was I choosing these individuals, and then I realized, they were treating me how I thought I should be treated, because that's how I felt about myself, whether I was cheated on or treated poorly. It's because I didn't think I deserved any better. But once I realized that, wait a minute, where's that belief coming from? And I really looked into it. I realized, that's where it comes from. It's not true. I deserve to be treated with respect and love. And I began to treat myself with respect and love. And there you go. It unfolded. All right. Next, I'm going to pull a couple cards from this Oracle deck I'm working on with the Creator. See what additional messages or clarification we have. All right, Creator, what additional messages do you have for those that chose the full moon eclipse? Okay, there's one. There's the other. All right, since this one popped up here, first we'll look at this. This is actually one of the chakra cards, the solar plexus chakra. And I'll let you see the stuff that it says on here. Before I read it. All right, so the solar plexus chakra, it talks about the power of choice. One of the things that this card also does, where the root chakra talks about how we interact with like our tribe and with groups. The sacral chakra, which is the next one up, talks about how we interact with like one-on-one relationships. Well, the solar plexus chakra is the self-discovery and how we interact with ourself. So how perfect this is with this message that is coming up here. Because this is where we learn our power of choice. We learn that we can make a different choice. Like I talk about assessing. We can look at what's going on in our life and we can get in tune with that power we have. I get to choose how I feel, what happens in my life, my next steps. Because it's within the chakra where we can change our habits and change our willpower to will to do something else instead of what we've always done. The supposed tos, the shoulds, all those conditional love laws and things we think are supposed to be, we kind of discover a new reality that I don't have to do what everyone else has told me to do all my life. I get to choose what I do. And this talks about turning down the fear noise. So, one of our greatest fears is being rejected and not being acceptable or lovable. So the more we discover ourselves and we get, not only assess what's going on in our world, but assess ourselves, get into this becoming our own soul mate and getting into that place of love, then that fear starts going away, because really we stop worrying about being rejected, because when we realize I don't need someone else to fulfill me, I can fulfill myself with my own inner love. What do you fear? What do you have to fear when you know you're unconditionally loved by the mother, father of all things, the creator? When you're in a kingdom, if the king and queen love you unconditionally, what do you care about the rest of the kingdom feels about you? Because the most important individuals love and accept you. Everyone else, if they don't love and accept you, are because they're in fear anyway. Then it talks about I act. And so the solar plexus also allows you to take action. It mentions on here the throat chakra allows you to act without condition. The throat chakra, of course, it goes the root, the sacral, the solar plexus, and then the heart, and then the next one on the other side. So the solar plexus is here, here's the heart, the throat chakra is here. The throat chakra is about acting because it's about speaking through our vocal cords. It's about our arms, which are at the same level. If you outstretch your arms to your sides, straight out, they're also at the same level around your throat. So it's all about action. So where the throat chakra allows us to act out of unconditional love, because it's connected to the higher, levels of unconditional love, that's what solves this kind of dilemma we have in the lower chakras, because this is based on that fear-based human that's walking along the ground. We're taught to look outside of ourselves for our love. So a lot of our actions before we have our self-discovery in this assessment is based on fear of losing conditional love. All those external things, we have our definition on people, situations, and things, who we're with, what friends we have, who cares about us, all that is unstable because people change, as I'm sure you've all experienced, or people pass away. Situations never stay the same, and things, of course, deteriorate, break, or are stolen. So whenever we look outside of ourselves for these unstable things, then we feel unstable. But when we go into this inner love and we realize I can define myself by this unconditional love of the Creator, then I'm stable. I make new choices. I make choices that are healthier for me and allow me to express who I really am, not who I was pretending to be. Talks on here in meditation that helps balance this chakra is I unconditionally love the world. And I'll link I have videos about, there's 4 meditations, so I'll link those down below as well. But this meditation starts out, I am unconditionally loved by the Creator of all things. And then once that love comes down to us and starts filling us up, we realize I'm actually made of unconditional love. I am unconditional love. And then once that fills us up, then it flows out to the world. And that's where it is, I unconditionally love the world. And then the 4th one is sitting in that place of unconditional love and it filling us up and flowing out to the world. We realize the entire world is made of unconditional love too, and we feel that love returning back to us. Maybe not from the characters that are walking along, these fear-based humans walking along, but the actor behind those characters, that unconditional loving being that's behind the actors, that love flows back to us. So I really encourage you to kind of check out those videos because they are it's a pretty powerful meditation to do each day, just to put us in perspective, this huge bird's eye view from up above all the chaos instead of being down within the chaos. All right. And this is actually one of the separator cards that tells us, this is, what is at the root of my emotions? And then what this represents is the contrast, which is why we come to the earth. We're these beings here, these light beings of unconditional love, and we come to this earth to experience what it might feel like to fear and all those fear-based emotions. So in experiencing what we're not, we more fully understand who we are, that contrast. If it was all white, like if this was all white, you can't see anything on there. But when you start to see things with color, then you start to see the beauty of things. You get to see that there's actually not just all white there. And we understand more of who we are. Like I talk about, to understand happiness, we experience sadness. To understand joy, we experience sadness and depression. And to understand love, we experience hate and anger. So in experiencing our opposite, we more fully and deeply understand who we are. So that is the message that wanted to come in. That's what's at the root of our emotions. It's either of unconditional love or the fear of losing conditional love. Perfect. All right, I'm going to round out this reading. Because around a full moon, I don't know if you notice it, you probably do, you dream a lot more and dream a lot more intensely. And so I'm going to pick a card from this Aboriginal dreaming, as well as sweet dreams, just to get our final messages. Okay, we'll start off with the Aboriginal dreaming totems. Let's see what additional message we have. Okay, like this one here. And this one is called Wonderful. Sometimes being too cautious is just an excuse for being afraid to take risks and move forward. Don't use this as your excuse to miss out on something amazing. Wow. So like we talked about with, it might be time, things are going to be changing, whether it's someone or something leaving our lives. There's change coming, but don't be afraid. Don't let that limit your life by trying to hold on. Let go and trust that now is the right time for whatever is unfolding. Right, and then we'll take a Sweet Dreams card here for our final card. please make it obvious for us. Wow, that's way too many. There we go. All right. Well, you'd still get 3. So, love. My heart is open to love as it manifests into the world. And then be open. I am open to new possibilities. I welcome new beginnings. No way. That's so fitting. And then abundance. I am blessed with and thankful for the abundance in my life. Perfect. So in the letting go piece, I know it's difficult to let go of someone or let go of something. And what helps transform fear, one of the biggest destroyers of fear is gratitude, which of course we just came off of Thanksgiving yesterday. But it's being thankful for and identifying all the amazing, wonderful things that are in our life right now. And when we focus on what we think is lacking or going wrong, that just grows. But when we focus on what we're grateful for and what we can be thankful for, that grows. And we become in more of a place of peace. So I hope this brought a little bit of peace or love or joy into your moments today. And if you did resonate with this reading and you liked it, if you don't mind giving me a little like down below, that does help out my channel and it helps me know that these readings are helping individuals. You, of course, can share the video with anyone that you think would benefit from it as well. And if you want to be notified of any of the future videos that I do, if you just click the subscribe button down below and the little bell, then you'll be notified of the next readings that I'll be doing here in the next couple days. I definitely appreciate you taking the time to listen, and I send you all the love, all the joy, all the peace that you can handle, and you take care of yourself. I love you. Take care.